we're here to make a new type of news.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Making news just for you. It's December 26th here in Seoul. I'm Shin-Yoon, and you're watching News Generation. Joining me in the studio is Choi Jing-hee.
Good morning.
Good morning, and Walter Lee.
Lovely to be here.
Now, both are here to speak on behalf of people in their 20s and 30s. As usual, let's start with our news feed, which covers different hashtags and news items that have been trending on social media over the past 24 hours. Starting with news on South Korean actor Han So-hee, who is currently making an appearance in Netflix's original series dubbed Gyeongsang Creature, set in early 1945, when Korea was under Japanese colonial rule. She is receiving scorn from her Japanese fans after posting a picture of Korean independence activist An Jung-gun, who assassinated Ito Hirobumi, the architect of Japanese policies aiming to annex Korea. She uploaded a picture of An while explaining the backstory of her latest Netflix drama series, but to that some Japanese netizens expressed their rage and betrayal towards Han, demanding that she never step foot in Japan. Some went as far as calling her and other Koreans selfish for lauding a, quote, terrorist. Now moving on to our second story. Is it a Christmas miracle? Economists have forecast that the world's inflation rate is slowing down quicker than expected. If all goes as expected, inflation may return to normal by the end of next year. Goldman Sachs economists estimated that core inflation, which excludes food and energy prices, would run at 2.2% in emerging markets, the US and Europe. Ending off with news in Italy. An online petition in the province of Avellino is under the spotlight. Some 21,000 people signed a petition demanding that the area's bishop intervenes in a row after the Church of Saints Peter and Paul featured a church nativity scene with two mothers of Jesus rather than just Mary and Joseph. The priest who approved such a depiction of baby Jesus' birth said he wanted to show that families are no longer just traditional ones. Now, those against this scene said it contradicted the Catholic Church's teachings about family and instead legitimized same-sex parenting and surrogacy. Nativity scenes are a big part to Catholicism, and they've been increasingly caught up in culture wars, especially as society is seemingly becoming more secular and multicultural. Also, the concept of becoming more woke and open-minded is becoming widespread. So here in the studio, I'm quite curious as to what you guys thought about the latest controversy and where you stand on religious concepts becoming more woke. Are you for or against that?
Well, for me, one's a little bit difficult for me to answer because I don't actually believe in any religion. However, I do support people who believe in religion, and if it makes their life better and happier, go for it. I really support you. But I do think that we have gotten to a point in our society where we should be accepting changes, and this also includes within religious boundaries as well. I know Chihi actually will have a better answer to this, so I'll leave it to her. But basically, I support the use of these two women on the basis that in the big picture, it isn't really harming anyone.
Right, just expanding the concept of what a family could look like.
Yes.
What were your thoughts on this?
Well, I believe that it's very natural for religions and their customs to evolve over time. And I do understand, though, that some conservative Catholics and politicians might disagree, but I think it's important to respect the diversity of perspectives on this matter. And so in that regard, I respect Father Vitaliano Della Sella and other religious figures who show support for the LGBT community, and their actions are in line with those of Pope Francis as well, who recently made a landmark ruling allowing priests to bless same-sex couples as well.
Exactly, I was going to mention that point. We've been seeing even the Catholic Church and conservative Catholics even speak up about LGBTQ issues and also same-sex marriages. So we are seeing religious concepts even evolve over time. And that was our news feed for this Tuesday. Let's now switch gears to our main discussion topic of the day. As we wrap up this year, we're going to choose the most notable Korean figures or iconic characters of the year. Before sharing our own list made here on NewsGen, let's hear what other Koreans had to say. I went out to do a street interview asking people about who popped up in their heads when thinking about who represented South Korea the best this year.
네, 저는 페이커 선수를 좋아하는데요. 아무래도 10년 넘게 프로게이머 생활을 하면서 끊이지 않고 계속 롤드컵 우승을 하는 게 자랑스러웠던 것 같습니다. 무패 전승으로 우승했기 때문에 e스포츠 강국이라고 생각합니다.
방탄소년단이요. 계속 지금 빌보드 차트 계속 꾸준히 진입해왔잖아요. 근데 지금 이제 다 군대 입대했단 말이에요. 그래서 전 세계적으로 아쉽지 않았나.
I don't know, like I'm not into K-pop or dramas, but I'm into sports. So always look at what Son Heung-min's doing in English Premier League and yeah, that sort of thing. But actually we saw not that long ago that TV show Physical 100 or something. Yeah, and that was quite interesting. I didn't realize there were so many like athletes in Korea like doing a lot of different things, not just soccer and baseball and stuff. So
the only Korean figures I hear of recently is probably Blackpink. They're beautiful. And it's great what they're doing, putting Korea on the map and then, you know, performing at all these US live music events.
딱 생각난 게 푸바오네요.
어떤 정치인, 어떤 연예인보다 저는 푸바오가
네.
올해 제 인생을 굉장히 풍요롭게 해준
전혀 어떠한 이런 안 좋은 생각, 이런 잡생각이랄까요? 그런 거를 안 들고 그냥 오로지 딱 순수한 마음, 순수한 생각이 들게끔 해주는 그 푸바오가 가장
올해의
주기선양을 하지
인물입니다.
않았나. 예.
네.
So everyone I spoke to that day had very different answers as to who their favorite or most memorable Korean figure of the year was. And based on their answers and our past episodes, we also compiled our own list on NewsGen, all to note down some outstanding achievements by iconic figures over the past year. And we've broken this list down to 4 different categories. And we're going to start with who the most iconic South Korean figure was in the entertainment and culture industry. So Chi, why don't you start us off?
Sure. Well, I'm sure you can guess this figure or these figures because in the entertainment industry, it's actually the rookie K-pop girl group New Jeans who have taken the world by storm and were also named the New York Times Most Stylish People of the Year. Now, this is quite an accomplishment for a group that only debuted last year in July. Comprising of 5 members from different nationalities, New Jeans has managed to captivate audiences worldwide with their unique performances and their youthful, high-teen style concept. Now, their music is a perfect blend of retro and hip-hop, making it enjoyable by people of all ages and genders as well. And also notably, New Jeans became the first female K-pop group to have at least 3 songs on the Billboard Hot 100 simultaneously, which is an achievement that speaks volumes about the group's talent and popularity. And it's no wonder that they've fans all over the world now.
Exactly. New Jeans definitely has taken the world by storm. What about you, Walter? Who do you think was the most iconic entertainment or cultural figure in South Korea this year?
Well, you can't mention a girl group without mentioning a boy group. And
Okay.
as a boy band wannabe back in the day, I have to talk about the biggest influential K-pop band of all time. You know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about BTS.
Yes.
Now, how could you have an influential list and not have BTS among the group? I mean, I'm so surprised that they didn't make that New York Times 71 most stylish people of the year, because those people, the members are so stylish in themselves. I mean, these boys, when they made their breakthrough, it was said to be like Beatlemania back in the day. There was so many fans crowding around to see them. It was amazing. Now let's talk about some of their achievements, like being named Celebrities of the Year by Time Magazine in 2020, American Music Awards from 2021. So many, the first group to surpass 37 billion streams on Spotify.
Wow.
Now, that's obviously a lot. And according to 2021 survey report by Hyundai Research Institute, BTS actually brings in $5 billion in economic benefits to Korea every year.
So they are reaping a lot of benefits, and that's why we often say that BTS is putting Korea on the map. They've actually elevated South Korea's national prestige. And I think that that's the biggest, I guess, hack of entertainment. These entertainment figures are really promoting South Korea's soft power around the world. But now I would like to focus on the category of sports. Who was the most iconic sports figure of the year, Chihi?
Well, recently, esports have gained huge popularity, and we all know this figure, Faker.
Yes.
His real name is Lee Sang-hyuk, a star player who defeated some of the biggest names in the world at this year's League of Legends World Championship, is a beloved Korean athlete, and he was even named one of the world's top 10 influential sports figures of this year by the Times of London. Now, many Koreans consider him a role model as well, and students once even attend gaming academies to really become like him. And what I found particularly inspiring about him was that he attributed his success to reading a lot and staying humble. So he explained on a popular TV show that he started reading to become a better game player and eventually developed a stable as well as flexible mindset that really helped him to achieve his goals.
And you know what, Chihi, I'm really happy for you to have started off the sports figure of this year with someone in esports.
Right.
Because that's where South Korea is excelling at the moment. We've seen major accomplishments at the Asian Games, where Faker and his team T1 led the country to gold, and we're also seeing the World Championship in the League of Legends. We also had gold there. So we're seeing major performances and achievements on esports. But what about other sports categories? Where are we excelling in, and who is actually leading these achievements?
Well, for me, it was a no-brainer when it came to traditional sports. As a huge football fan, my choice has to be the one, the only Song-min, right?
Yes.
Let's give you one of those for a celebration. Or best known as Sonny to his fans. I mean, he is one of the Premier League's favorite players amongst all teams. He's just that player who's really hard to hate. And if you have gone to any Premier League match, or if you know anything about Premier League, we always hate on the other teams, no matter who they have. But Sonny, everyone loves him. He's just the most adorable sort of person. When he wore that mask, masks sold crazy over the internet.
They did, yeah.
Just because he was injured. It was the influence that he has on the footballing world is amazing. You know, he is the only Asian player to achieve 100 career goals and 50 assists in the best league in the world, and that is the Premier League. And the 2023, I'd have to say, would have to be one of Sonny's favorite years as well, as he was named the Spurs captain of the 2023-2024 season after the departure of Harry Kane. Now, it also made him the first Asian player to captain a Premier League team, so go Sonny.
Go Sonny. And I know that your intro for every news gen is actually emulating
Tribute.
Sonny. So we can see his influence here on News Gen as well. And as a news channel, we've covered a long list of figures who've been heavily involved in shaping not only our countries, but also the world's politics and economy. So who would you say are some South Koreans that made notable differences in politics and economics?
Well, recently there's been a lot of buzz around the behavior of Samsung chairman
Yes.
Lee Jae-yong in public. So recently he visited one of Busan's traditional markets along with President Yoon and other conglomerate heads. And videos of his funny expressions, glances, and short remarks went viral on the internet among millennials and Gen Zs in the country within a short period of time. Now, Lee's visit left a great impact on the people because of his friendly as well as non-authoritative demeanor shown in the media. Now, his actions like taking selfies with his employees and eating in the cafeteria like an ordinary person created quite a stir and made him a popular economic figure as well.
Right.
And many of his appearances have even been turned into memes as well.
Exactly. I remember like going through social media and seeing Chairman Lee Jae-yong's memes as well. And I think the biggest hit or like the catch behind why he's so popular is because he's very relatable.
Yeah.
You know, I think you would have this image of a chaebol or conglomerate being only eating really classy food and having a very classic routine, but instead him being relatable, going out to these traditional markets and just drinking coffee like any other person would do, made him like a 동네 아저씨, like someone you would see in your neighborhood. And I think that's why a lot of people had, especially millennials and Gen Z, really resonated with him.
Yeah.
But are there any other figures that really caught our attention?
Well, yes, Lee Jae-yong made a lot of headlines, and I think it's because of, I guess, this age of how we view media as well. And I know that like chair people or other conglomerate heads, they are also gaining a lot of interest from the public eye, especially from the MZ generation, right? For example, CEO of SK Group Chae Tae-won and CEO of Hanwha Aerospace Kim Dong-kwan, just to name a couple, have also been on social media as well as YouTube and variety shows just to show, I guess, the human side. Like you said, we think of these people just as the heads of department, and therefore they are the kind of the mean guys of the department. But they're showing their real side, which has obviously shown some great response by the public. And you know, it's good for them in their self-image rather than what our preconceptions of what a CEO really is.
Exactly. I think, and you mentioned a really good point there, new media, like social media and YouTube channels out there, I think they play a really good window for us to have a little glimpse of lives that we can never even imagine, given that they're leading Korea's economics there, but then we're also seeing them have relatable routines like ourselves, which is why they're garnering a lot of popularity. But some people may not have a favorite person of the year, but a favorite animal, as we've heard like from our street interview. So let's take a listen to a few animals that really captivated our attention this year.
Sure. Well, so there's the story of Sasuni, the lion.
Sasuni, okay.
He was raised on a private farm, but then escaped and sadly eventually got killed. And it captured the hearts of many millennials and Gen Zs. And it was particularly heartbreaking to see Sasuni sitting still in the forest after escaping. And also similarly, there's Sero, as you see on the screen, the zebra who was also managed to escape from the zoo. And it also made headlines, sparking even a conversation about the ethics of keeping animals captive in zoos. Now, the stories of Sasuni as well as Sero served as reminders of the importance of animal welfare as well as the need for responsible and compassionate treatment of all living creatures.
Exactly, Ji. And I remember us covering the story of Sero on our news feed a few times, and we also mentioned virtual zoos as well as different animal rights here in Korea. And I think that's a big topic of interest among people that are millennials and Gen Zs. But are there other animals that really pop out in the year of 2023?
Yeah, those are good choices, but the great choices, to be honest with you. But do they come close to the cute and cuddly panda Poo Bao?
Poo Bao!
I mean, I remember you two getting ready to go to Everland. You were so excited that you were looking forward to even seeing Poo Bao. That's how big of an influence. Even on News Gen, we're always looking forward to it. Honestly, I'm not a fan of his name because it sounds like poo dumpling in English. but anyway, Poo Bao is a very beautiful creature. The very black and white fluff ball, as I would call him, is the main attraction at Everland these days, with everyone wanting to see the rare animal. Sadly, there are only approximately 1,800 left in the wild, but there is also some sad news about Poo Bao, as he will be going back to China next year, so this is his last winter here in South Korea. I'm sure this will be a hard move for the zookeeper, Kang Chol-won, who has a close relationship with Poo Bao and also made a lot of headlines.
Exactly, and YouTube content showing how the two interact really captured my attention as well. And though we went to Everland together, we didn't get to see Poo Bao because he was so popular.
Yeah, the line was...
I know, there was a huge line waiting for her, so a lot of people couldn't even get to see her, but hopefully we will have a chance before the year ends. Now, we asked our viewers to write down their favorite Korean of the year as well, and here's who 3 of them actually selected. Take a look at the screen to find out. Let's start with MIMS. MIMS said, I would say Song Hye-kyo, since the drama The Glory was so popular internationally. I think Song helped increase the popularity of K-dramas. Leon Teo said, the badminton player An Se-young. She was named the 2023 Female Player of the Year by the BWF and also won the gold at the 2023 World Championships, making history as the first Korean woman singles player to win the World Championships. SGR said, I would say Yoon Sung-yeol for creating friendlier relations between South Korea and Japan. Yes, we have been seeing President Yoon busily going around the world doing a lot of diplomatic missions. Now, looking forward to 2024, who are some people that we didn't mention today that you'd like to see better represent South Korea? Or maybe next year on News Gen, we could choose as the iconic figures of the year for 2024.
Well, I feel like we can add another category, such as science or the medical field, and see some key figures in those fields make the headlines next year. So, for example, a scientist or researcher making innovative discoveries or novel findings, or even doctors like Lee Guk-jong, who's made the headlines a couple of years ago. He's been credited for saving the life of a former North Korean soldier, and he's also known for his his dedication as a trauma surgeon as well. So figures like these in the science and medical field, I'd like to see next year.
I think that's a great point, especially given the fact that even the South Korean government is trying to make Korea into a digital country. Where being a digital Korea policies are rolling out by the year 2025, we're going to see a lot more investment and infrastructure for science and ICT, especially in the field of R&D. What are your suggestions? Who would you like to see represent the year of 2024?
Well, first, before I get to my suggestion, I think that it's a notable mention for the last comment that Yoon Suk-yeol was also named in the most stylish list.
He was,
71, yes. For not his style, because let's be honest, his style is usually a suit and tie, but his performance at the White House for singing the very classic American song, American Pie, which he got praised for, a standing ovation, and even got a guitar that had the signature of Don McLean, the person who wrote the song. So yes, you got to give big ups to it, whether you agree with these policies or not, that he did make an influence across the world with his singing, even though he's not a singer. But for me, I have to go back to football, because I want to see Lee Gang-in and also Kim Min-jae do big things in the year 2024. Now, I say that because they have both signed for mega clubs in Europe. That is PSG for Lee Gang-in and Bayern Munich for Kim Min-jae. Now, those two are probably going to make it at least to the quarterfinals, semifinals of the biggest European cup, the Champions League. And what a great achievement it would be for Koreans to see a Korean either lift the trophy, because that hasn't been done since which athlete?
I don't know, let us
Park
know.
Ji-sung.
Park Ji-sung.
Park Ji-sung was the last Korean to hold the Champions League trophy, which is the biggest prize of European football. I'd love to see those two in them.
So we'll have to see, and I think all the figures that we've mentioned on our show today really are paving a way for South Korea to better represent and put ourselves out on the grid. And in the meantime, we're going to be dedicating the last week of 2023 throughout the whole week, looking back at some notable things of the year. And in the meantime, we'll be here every day from 9:30 to 10 a.m. Korea time, bringing you more topics young people are talking about. Special thanks to Choi Ji-hee.
Thank you.
And Walter Lee.
Lovely to be here.
All right, and thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. We are
News Generation.